guys, it's Tyler back with another Career Talks video. This is our fourth video in the series. This is a collaboration the Boys and Girls Club of Greater San Diego and the Boys and Girls Club of Salem have put together in order to give you guys insights to career professionals that are in different professions and how they've basically chose that as a career path for themselves, and kind of give you some insight. Maybe it's something that you find interested in your own, maybe high school life right now, of something you want to eventually become. Just kind of give you some different questions and such. And so we have Janessa from Salem Club. Janessa, why don't you introduce yourself and then introduce the guest today?
Perfect. So my name is Janessa Smith. I work at the Richmond Boys and Girls Club where I'm the director. And today I have William Barlow III with me. And he's the owner of a sign company called 18 Oaks. You can kind of see it in the background of his screen. And so he's a great entrepreneur, and I hope that you enjoy this interview.
All right. So, Mr. Barlow, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Tyler. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you guys and the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, well, we definitely are appreciative of your time. Just kind of want you to maybe start out just telling us about maybe your sign company, what you do, how you like it, and how long you've been doing it.
Okay, 18 Oaks Sign Company was founded in 2012. I have industry experience going back about 20 years or so. So a relatively young company in the lifespan of the industry. Most of our competitors have had market share for nearly 100 years or greater. We are one of a handful that holds our licensing standards within the Pacific Northwest region. So kind of a unique position that we find ourselves in. It's an Oregon-based manufacturing company that's UL listed. And we're very proud of that fact because it allows us to compete in a national marketplace.
Awesome.
So I guess we can just jump right in. What made you decide to open your business?
Opportunity, really. I had experience in the visual communications field going back into after-school high school job. I left the industry for a period of time to complete an undergrad degree in which I pursued medicine and science. I had the opportunity to work within that industry in a couple of different hospital settings and perform some research. At a critical point in my life, and that aging, maturing portion of when I was ready to start a family, I had the opportunity presented to me to move back into the visual communication field. As I looked at life priorities, it seemed to be a good fit and provide the lifestyle and the time I wanted to help balance my personal life with my occupational life.
Yeah, so that kind of segues into our next question about what were the biggest challenges. You kind of speak about the balance of the personal and professional life, but what do you think your biggest challenge was when you were starting your own business?
It was definitely the growth and the initial funding of it. So I was a self-funded entrepreneur, limited access to or with limited assets at that point in time, I should say. I was very lucky in the beginning to recognize a number of good opportunities and to be able to capitalize on those opportunities. So our rate of growth from the beginning was relatively rapid, and our company's profitability from the beginning was in good shape. The immediate thing we found ourselves challenged with is how to invest the return returns that we got from the company. Does that go into personnel, which a more mature company, and mature as in developed with infrastructure and stuff, is how I reference that, would put it into people to maximize the rate of growth in which they would like to achieve. As a young startup company, we found ourselves challenged with the idea that in order to stay on pace with it, we needed to invest both in industrial equipment and in personnel. So it was that constant balance as we established ourselves and proved to lenders and funders that it was appropriate to issue us the funding that we needed to have both a structured debt load and the personnel balance that we needed to have healthy overhead.
Okay, and then on the opposite of that, what's the most rewarding aspect of your career?
The most rewarding aspect of what we do is definitely the relationships and the ability to influence. Let's see, give me a moment here to gather my thought on that. To influence a society based off of company ethics. So I believe strongly that people will treat others in similar respect to how they have been treated, or with their interactions that they have recently encountered. So identifying what company ethics are and encouraging and training within our organization to exhibit those behaviors when they interact with society around them, I think influences overall the community's behavior and makes for a more positive or negative society. Hopefully able to foster the characteristics that are providing a healthy, positive society as opposed to greed.
So we've been talking a little bit about challenges, and with COVID-19 the past few months, we've had a lot of restrictions or life basically put on hold. And it's put businesses in a weird place and navigating through these times. So when McMinnville, your city, opens back up, what are you looking forward to most when it does open up and things go back to relatively normal?
It would go back to that relationship piece. What I'm looking most forward to is the professional networking opportunities. There's the old cliche that relationships are what build a business. And it really is the defining factor between being a positive growth business and a floundering business. Further, as your peers that you interact with regularly, the professional relationships often turn into social relationships, and people that have like ethics and are at similar spots in their life. So the professional relationship that you developed by doing business together, oftentimes in small community, will put you side by side with that same individual coaching your kids' sports team, or being to the PTA, or one of the social or something. Those relationships really turn into personal friendships. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to return to some of that working piece and see both professional acquaintances and friends that we've developed along the way.
I know that you said that you've been in hospitals in the past, but what are other jobs that you've had?
Throughout college, or so backing back up to high school. So my introduction into the visual communication and sign industry, manufacturing, was working in an school, mainly pushing brooms. After about a year, I had the good having more senior individuals within the organization take interest in me and start to share some of their knowledge and expertise within the visual communication, in addition more specific to just simply cleaning the shop, which was really my introduction into the field. felt it most appropriate to complete an undergrad degree is when I kind of transitioned into looking towards a science-based or medical-based career. At that point in time, I did research in a local hospital through the emergency department. Additionally, I worked in a medical surgical unit for a period of time as well. It wasn't lack of interest or desire in those settings, but really the opportunity and forward to other aspects of life that I wanted to be successful in, that brought me back to the visual communication field and sign industry. Once I entered into the sign industry was really when reemerged myself in the sign industry when 18 Oaks emerged. So there weren't a bunch of small leading jobs up to that point. However, as a CEO of a company, I also found that with a balanced life, there are numerous other roles that almost kind of occupational but are not in that field as well. Contributing to the community, Chamber of Commerce roles and social service clubs, again, going back to Rotary International, organizations of that sort. And then also personal roles that I think that we also have to be cognitive and mindful that we have a responsibility towards as well. So being the parent to young children, a good spouse, so on and so forth. There are a lot of roles that are oftentimes overlooked as far as, are they jobs? But they're vital pieces that have responsibilities that need to be, that an individual needs to be as attentive to as much as a traditional occupation. So individuals going into that direction, be mindful of the different hats they wear.
Well said.
Yes. So you've already touched a lot on this question that I'm about to follow up with, about giving advice to basically young adults, high schoolers that are leaving high school. Maybe they're looking into their careers, looking at what they want to do. Some people expect them to know that, and even with your story, you had a mentor, some older professionals that kind of mentored you and told you about more of the ins and outs of things, and then being involved in social clubs with the Rotary. We have Optimist Kiwanis here, getting involved young into that and learning, building those relationships that you need. So when it comes to all that, what do you think the biggest advice, especially if you were to go back at the very beginning to even your own self, what is the biggest advice you could give someone that is trying to figure out what they want to do career-wise?
Yeah, I would say two-part. One is, I believe that they should enter into a career with their eyes wide open. I think that they should identify what will be required of them in order to be successful. Which of those requirements they're willing to incorporate into their life and make priorities, and what are elements that they're not going to compromise on. So examples of that would be relocation, or if it's heavy in travel, if they're willing to live with less as far as monetary return for their investment, if they believe more strongly in the humanitarians, right? Humanitarian aspects of life as opposed to the financial gain perspective. Or if they're willing to work more and miss some of the more intimate personal time that they would have in life. Those are, I think, individuals entering into the workforce should start to run now in order to be able to negotiate all the different challenges that lay ahead of them and feel as though they've found meaning in their career and in their greater life as a whole.
So along with that, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the question that you had previously asked, Tyler, what is a good life lesson that you've learned or that the youth can learn through what you've done?
So pulling a little bit away from that, but still kind of that connection to enter into something, enter into something with a cognitive awareness of your life experiences and the realization that others will have had different life experiences, and that they will envelope them with the information that is most pertinent to them on a daily basis. So I can recall a time in which I was in a small collected group of professionals, one of which was a gynecologist. And another one of the individuals was telling a story about a event that occurred in their life the previous week. As we were all listening kind of intently and politely to this story, the gynecologist paused him for a moment and said, "I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you understand in my world, UTI means urinary tract infection. I have no idea what you're telling us about." Um, right? And I say, well, okay, so we need to pause, be aware that, especially in communication, over the last decades, as the use of and India. So when you go out and engage, remember the people with your choice of language, with your presentation, with the place in which you're providing that message, so that you can be looked at as a serious member of the occupational future you choose to partake in.
Well, Mr. Barlow, that is all we had for today. I really appreciate you coming out, spending the time with us, and Janessa as well from Salem. I definitely appreciate you guys. This will go live next week, but next week we'll have a professional from London area. I'm going to keep it a surprise, partially because they haven't confirmed with me yet, but we'll have the other partial because it's a surprise, and just tune in. It'll be good. It'll be some good time. But again, like always, you guys stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, and good luck to everybody entering the workforce.
Thank you.